So I'm going to talk about coding in St. Mark's Community School. So what will I learn? What will you learn if you take coding? You will learn the importance of computers in modern society and in life. You will look inside, you will learn about hardware and software. Hardware would involve looking inside a computer and the different components that make up a computer system. And you would also learn some basic programming, starting with the programming block-based language called Scratch, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, moving on to other programming environments that I'll talk about in a minute. You will also learn about how data is stored in a computer using ones and zeros, which are called bits. And you would learn about the basic concepts underlying the internet, how data is transported on the internet, and you would learn to build a website using HTML and CSS. And finally, the last part of coding would be coding at the next level, which is more advanced concepts in programming. So again, that would be more advanced in Scratch, but also looking at text-based programming languages such as Python, or if JavaScript, if any of you are interested in that, you have the opportunity to learn that as well. So really, you will be designing and writing code through the development of programs. You can design apps, games, animations, or websites. You choose. So for your project that you would do after the 3 years, your classroom-based assessment, you can choose which environment you want your project to be in and what type of a project you would like it to be. Okay, teamwork is encouraged throughout when you do coding. All the tasks you do with one other person or two other people, and that's highly encouraged. So here's some examples of work. Students looking at a computer, we take apart a computer and we look at all the different key parts inside, the RAM, the motherboard, and so on. As I mentioned, we start off with the Scratch programming language, which is a block-based programming. These blocks are colored, they're like colored pieces of Lego basically that you stick together, and you can create an animation or a cartoon, which is created here, or you could make a game. All right, this student used their knowledge of what they learned about bits and bytes, of ones and zeros I should say, and they made a little cartoon out of that. You can also go into more advanced levels with Scratch. The student made a game which is interactive with the user and involves many complex coding elements. In fact, in third level universities, they use Scratch to introduce these coding or programming concepts. So you can see there, it's a lot more advanced. Here's another project that a student made in Scratch, which was just drawing shapes. And this is really working on many skills, and also student is being quite creative here. You will also work with microbits, which are little pocket-sized computers. You can see 3 of them there. The microbits can be programmed using a block-based coding language here, a little bit like Scratch. It's the same idea. And you can make a fitness tracker, i.e. a Fitbit. This can be used as a games console, so you can have little games here. You can also program the microbit to communicate via a radio signal. So you could be sending text messages to your friends. You could also turn it into a temperature sensor, or you can make music. We will then look at some text-based programming, and this is an example of Python Turtle, which was used to make shapes, a little bit like the Scratch project up above. And these students here made Christmas cards using Python Turtle. Physical computing is where you're turning your programming into something that's physical, that you can touch or see or hear. So it's not just something on the screen like a game or an animation. These students here made traffic lights. I'll just play that for you. So this is where you're looking at a real world problem. You're looking at computers in society and how they can be used to program traffic lights. These students here used Scratch to make the traffic lights, but you could also have done this using Python. You can also look at making a buggy or a robot. And again, this is programming, this is using microbits, so not Scratch. And 1 microbit is held by one person, and as it's moved, it turns the other, it programs this buggy to move left or right or around in a circle, forwards or backwards. So you could make a robot if you wanted to and program it yourself. And then the more advanced stages of programming, we would be looking at the Python programming language, which is a text-based programming language. And here's a little program that a student wrote. It asks the computer asks the person, what's your name? The person says Mary. What's your age? 12. What school do you go to? St. Mark's. So you can have a little bit of fun with this and make your own little game and be really creative. So why should I pick coding? Well, it will really help develop your problem solving skills, which are skills that are really useful to have in life, in any subject or in any area. It will also help to build your resilience. So your resilience is the ability to bounce back after failure. So, you know, if you're somebody who gets really frustrated and gives up easily, well, this is going to help you with that, which is going to help you in any subject in school or anything in life. When you learn to code, you learn that making the mistakes and debugging, that's part of it. That's half the fun. It's not always going to be perfect. So you learn from your mistakes, and that's a really good skill to have. Coding also helps to develop your thinking. It helps you to think differently and gives you the type of thinking skills, such as computational thinking skills, that are highly sought after in the world today. So coding is not just about writing lines of code, but it helps you to break down problems into smaller parts. And I hope I showed you some examples there of where you can be really creative with coding, whether it is making a cartoon in Scratch or whether it's making a game, making some music. You could be really, if you're quite musical, you could make a really fancy music there. So, you know, the great thing about coding is, because it's a short course, there's no exam at the end. You can design what type of a project that you would like to do at the end of it, and you can really take ownership of your own learning, and it gives you a great opportunity to show off what you know. And if you don't like Python, and if you don't really like the text-based programming, then you can stick with Scratch, because you can do really some cool advanced stuff in Scratch. However, if you do like Python, then what coding will do is it will really help you prepare for Leaving Cert, because there's a new computer science subject now being offered at Leaving Cert, and which, you know, computer programming is the future, so there's lots of jobs and lots of opportunities for you there as well. So coding is for everybody. I'm not saying everybody should do it, but what I'm saying is that it's for all. You do not have to be good at maths. You don't have to be good at anything in specific. If you just like working on problems and you like being creative, then I suggest you pick coding. Thank you for listening.